We are recording.
Great. Welcome, everybody. Okay, Michelle, you're on.
All right, well, welcome everyone to the pilot for the Clarity and Certainty Friends and Family pilot program. That's a mouthful. So Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, this is an ongoing call, but for all of you that are joining tonight, you have all offered up to be a part of our pilot program. So welcome. You'll be sent a survey after this session, and then you'll be sent a few out through the course of the time. And we're asking you to give us your input so that we can make this the best coaching we've ever had. So with that, I welcome you, and I will turn it over to Dr. Ron.
Cool. Welcome, everybody. Welcome all the new people, and welcome everybody that was here last week. So we call tonight a family and friends coaching call. And the reason it's family and friends is because as we move forward, the Tuesday night call is going, this part of the Tuesday night call will be open to anyone you want to invite to be here with you, family and friends. The purpose of it is to create a social environment of community where we can support one another. So this particular part of our program is not about selling anything. It's not about the business opportunity. It's not about trying to tell anybody what to do. And for those of you who know that there's a number of doctors on the call, it's not about getting medical advice. That's not what coaching is. Family and friends is a time where we can offer neighborly social support and encourage one another to resolve issues for ourselves and have happier, more productive lives. And the work that we're going to be learning as a process or a model for that is what I call clarity and creativity coaching. Okay, and coaching is different. I'm a naturopathic doctor. We've got a couple of really phenomenal doctors on the call. Coaching is different from therapy. Coaching, a therapist, a doctor.
Dr. Ron, excuse me for 1 minute.
Yep.
Can everyone mute your phones while he's speaking? That would be so helpful.
Thank you. All right. So being a doctor or therapist, or an auto mechanic for that matter, is about doing things for people that they don't know how to do for themselves. Most of us wouldn't try to do brain surgery on ourselves. We'd go to an expert. If our car is broken, unless we have the right kind of training, we're going to go to an expert to get it fixed. And they will either tell us what to do or they'll do it for us. Okay, that's therapy. The other way we get information to resolve issues is through education. But coaching isn't really education either, although education is a part of coaching. Education is when you go to an expert to tell you or to give you information you don't have access to yourself. And then, in fact, in our education system today, we've really gotten extreme with it because a lot of our education is memorizing the right answer for a multiple choice test. And so our education has come to it. Coaching is a lot more like Socratic education. Socrates used to educate and never tell anybody anything. He would just ask his students questions and get them to come to their own conclusions and to discover things on their own. So here's our definition of coaching. If you want to take notes or take it down after you get the recording, coaching is facilitating one another to ask better questions about our own lives, see other possibilities for ourselves, and then to empower and motivate ourselves to follow through on those choices. So where in that definition did we say we're going to ask Dr. Rockwood or Dr. Harbowski to tell us what to do? See, coaching is different. When you go to a doctor, you assume as a patient that the doctor knows more than you do, that they're an expert. In coaching, the expert is you. You know more about you and who you are and who you choose to be than anyone else on earth. And if not, then maybe we can ask some questions of each other that'll help us all to get more clarity on that. So interestingly, in other forms of teaching, we look for what's wrong and try to fix it. In coaching, we start from, there's nothing wrong with you. You are a unique creation in the universe. You know you. You have certain individual choices and desires and aspirations, And so what can we do? What's right about you that maybe we could encourage each other to handle better, to improve on in our own, within ourselves. So coaching is not about me being the expert and telling you what to do. Coaching is about all of us working together. And coaching is a journey. We say it's a journey of 10,000 steps. There's the old Chinese proverb, the journey of 1,000 miles starts with one step. Well, I changed it a little. This is a journey of 10,000 steps, one step at a time. And if you were going to study with a master or with a mentor, they might be way down the road leading you on. But in coaching, we all start in the same place. And if you're going to coach someone else, it doesn't matter what you know. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter that you're an expert in some area. The idea of coaching is to be on the same step the other person is on and facilitate them to choose for themselves what the next step is going to be. If we were all standing in front of a big forest right now in a national park and said, we're all going to meet on the other side of the valley in 3 weeks, would everyone necessarily go the same path to get there? Absolutely not. In fact, as soon as everyone took one step, there'd be that many different choices for the next step and that many different choices for the next step. So all that matters in coaching is where are you right now and what's your next step? And notice the next step, if none of us have ever crossed this particular valley before, the next step isn't going to be in those memory banks. And that's why the very first exercise we start with, and we're going to be working with again this week, is just take a clean sheet of paper and assume that you have no limitations. You're perfectly healthy. You're going to live for another couple hundred years. You've got $100 million of tax-free income coming in every year, no matter what you do. What are you going to do with all that money? What are you going to do with your time? If you had no limitations, what would you be doing? What kind of projects would you fund? What kind of projects would you get involved with? And what we're doing is we're exercising our ability to look out across that valley and pick the next step. Now, right now, we're just looking at all the trees, being aware of where we're at. And as we progress over the next couple of weeks, we'll be working with that list to find out what the very first objective in coaching. There's basically 3 steps that I use in the coaching and others that do similar type work. Number 1 is we review some information like we're doing right now, not to tell you what to do, but to give you a logical basis for your thinking mind to choose where do you want to go from here? What's your intent? In other words, we start with the question, what do you want? What do you really want? And that answer will be different for everybody here. There's some things we all have in common. We want to be healthy. We want to not have a lot of financial pressure, etc. But boy, once you get past that, we're all different. That's why a coach can't tell you what to do, because what you want may be totally different than what someone else would choose in the same moment. So what do you want? Let's see. And there's basically 3 levels of information that we work with in our lives. And sometimes in coaching programs or other training, they'll draw a pie chart and split it into 3 pieces of pie. And if you want to do that just as a visual, go ahead on your notes. But one of those pies would be what you know you know. You just know for a fact that this is true. Another one of those pies would be what you know you don't know. Like, I know I can't repair a television set. Not too good with cars either. I get the gas, I get the gas and the water on the right ends. I'm doing good. Okay. But I know that. And since I know that I don't know, if I have an issue in those areas, I'll go find somebody who does. Or worst comes to worst, go get a book and try to figure it out myself. But at least I know that's where the issue is. The third pie is where coaching lives. It's what you don't even know you don't know. I made up a little phrase for myself when I was in high school, and it's become my kind of my life mantra. If you teach a stupid person something new, they'll think they're smarter than they were before. If you teach a wise person something new, they redefine the extent of their ignorance. So this first exercise is about getting into, I don't know what I don't know. What goals and aspirations are in my heart that I gave up on a long time ago because I really don't think they're practical. Can't happen. And yet they're part of who you are and who I am. So the first exercise is to reawaken those dreams and aspirations and get a better feel for who I really am. Now, when I teach this, I don't use a pie chart. If you want to get another piece of paper, I'll show you how I do it. Just make a little tiny dot in the middle of the paper. The only problem with the dot is it's probably way too big, so get it as small as you can, okay? And then draw a circle around that dot, say 2-3 inches out, okay? The dot is what I know I know. And like I said, the only issue with my dot is even as a dot, it's way too big. Why? Because the circle is what I know I don't know. That's me redefining my ignorance every time I learn something new and then ask a dozen questions about it. Now, outside of the circle, not on your paper, but in the whole universe is everything we don't know yet. Now, what if the answer to who you choose to be is outside the circle? How are you going to find it? How are you going to know it's there? How do you make it useful information? What if what you learned in your dot, which began as a small child, that's your genetics and that first 5 years of life, what if your family didn't know how to resolve issues? What if you grew up in a family of screamers or, heaven forbid, abusers? What if you grew up in a country where people didn't have the basic necessities of life? What's in your dot may not serve you at this point. And yet what you would choose to live, what you would choose to know is going to be outside the circle. And I don't know what I don't know. Well, creativity and clarity and creativity coaching is about getting us out there and finding the answers, creating them for ourselves. And it starts with being able to look out. We have been trained in our culture to always go back into the dot to start. We don't need to be told what to do. We need clarity. When you have clarity of vision of who you are and where you want to go, nobody can stop you. And if somebody could mute, I don't know where the background noise is coming from. But anyway, so clarity of vision, the reason it's clarity coaching is because as soon as you get clarity about who you are and what you really want in life, nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you. When an athlete knows what they want to accomplish and have clarity of vision about what it takes to get there, like the women's soccer team, you can't stop them. They know who they are, they know where they're going, and nothing can stop them. Okay. And that's what we can do. That's clarity. And then creativity. Once you have clarity about where you want to go, now you can create your own path across that valley. But you'll create it one step at a time. And you'll never know where the third step is until you've taken the first one and chosen the second one. And then the third one may be in a direction you never even thought of before, because we're going into what we know we don't know. See? So I'd like to encourage everyone to work with the exercise. Take a clean sheet of paper every day. If you had no limitations, perfectly healthy, all the money you'd ever choose to have, what would you be doing with your day? What would you be doing with this year? What would you be doing with the next 10 years? And keep doing the exercise and let your imagination run, because that's where your heart goals, your heart dreams and aspirations are going to be. And keep writing until one day it just explodes into page after page after page of amazing things that you would choose to accomplish if you could, and it would take 3 lifetimes to do it all. Now, if you walk into a room full of people with that kind of attitude, what kind of energy are you giving off? Are you the person who wakes up in the morning, I don't want to get out of bed? Oh, no way. You don't even have enough time to begin all that stuff. You're going to have an awesome day working on whatever one you choose. See? And then over the next few weeks, we'll start paring the list down to things that we really, really want to focus our time and attention on. Okay? So there's one other thing then that we'll introduce for this week. Now we also, we have an exercise, like in this case, the goals and aspirations exercise. And then we always have a tool. And the tool we're working with right now has to do with breath. Now, I sent an article earlier. I'll send it out again so the new ones can see it. But there are many, many, many different systems and research that shows that breathing deeply and slowly helps you relax. We probably all experienced that, whether it was a yoga class or meditation or praying or whatever it was. When you slow and deepen your breathing, you relax. Okay? We're doing a breath exercise also, and it will help you relax, but that's not why we're doing it. We're going to create something very different with this. Now, the exercise we're using is notice that you are breathing. And again, if there's anyone on the call who's not breathing, please raise your hand so we can get you to the other program. Okay? So just pause for a moment and notice you're breathing. Notice that you are breathing. And notice that whether you notice it or not, it happens anyway. But just notice your breath. And then choose, if you will, to take a deep breath and exhale as slow as you can. That's it. I told you one of the main reasons I use this one is it's so simple I can remember it. Just take a deep breath. Notice your breathing. Take a deep breath and exhale slowly. And then in this moment, could you just notice that there is breath? And take a deep breath and exhale slowly. Okay. And we're going to add one thing to it. And this
Dr. Ron, we lost you.
Okay. The first question most of us are used to hearing and asking when we're interacting with ourselves or anyone else is, what do you think? Has anybody ever asked you what you think? Have you ever asked someone what they think? Guess what? In clarity and creativity coaching, we could care less. I tell my clients all the time, I really don't care what you think. Well, I do kind of, but not that much. I care deeply and passionately about how you feel. Why? Because the thinking, let's put it this way, the part of your neurology where your hopes, dreams, and aspirations are motivated and run, the part of your neurology that controls your behaviors, your mood, your attitude, it's not in the thinking part. It's in that 99.99% of memorized patterns. And the memorized patterns may or may not be what you would choose. Well, how do you run them? See, we've often heard the brain is a computer. Technically not true. The thinking part of the brain is the person sitting at the computer. But the non-cognitive part that we're dealing with our behaviors and our feelings and so forth, all of that is the computer. It just runs programs. That's all. And most of those programs were installed before you were 5 years old. And it's sad but true. You can do your own research on it. 95 to 98% of the people on Earth are going to die who they were emotionally and socially when they were 3 to 5 years old. Don't believe me? One of my mentors used to say, if you squeeze an apple, what do you get? Squeeze a lemon, what do you get? Squeeze an orange, what do you get? Squeeze a person, what do you get? A 2-year-old with a temper tantrum. Put someone under pressure when they're not thinking their behavior, and you're going to get what was installed when they were 3 to 5 years old. Now, that's great if you had a really functional, mature family. But if you didn't, and in part of my work, I actually teach 5 pillars of childhood. 5 things we learn as children that actually allow us to handle mental, emotional stress and social stress for the rest of our life. How many people do you think now are getting the 5 things? Almost no one. Now, the temper tantrum part, that's fight or flight. That's genetic. We all got that one. But the part that regulates mental, emotional stress and trauma and behaviors, that's software. It has to be installed during the first few years of life. If it wasn't, we got to figure out how to install it now. And it's in a part of the brain that doesn't hear words and doesn't understand concepts and ideas. We can talk, and you can listen to me talk until we're all fall asleep. It won't change that part of the neurology. So how do you change it? Here's the key. If you're only going to remember one thing from tonight, remember this. I don't care what you think. I care passionately about how you feel about it. How do you feel? Now, most of us can't read or write binary code or even a programming language. So how do we run our phones and computers? We've got icons, right? You trip the icon and it runs a program. And then we input whatever we're going to input and the program runs it, right? What are the icons to the non-cognitive neurology? There's 3 different kinds. The number 1 is the one we're working on tonight, feelings and emotions. Tell me what you're feeling right now, and I'll tell you what your non-cognitive neurology is doing. If you want to change what's going on in the non-cognitive behaviors, you have to start with what you feel. And there are 2 other pathways into it, but we're going to start with this one. But all these years of positive thinking and affirmations, and not that those things don't have some value, but they're relatively inefficient because they're not triggering the icons. The only way you get into the non-cognitive is with the icon of feelings and emotions. So what we're going to add to our breath tonight, in addition to just noticing that you are breathing, which is always good, what are you feeling right now? And it doesn't matter what the feeling is. It can be a body sensation. It can be you're getting bored with me talking. What do you feel in this moment? As soon as you notice that you have a feeling, you do have to do one little thing, which will become automatic, so we don't make a big deal of it. But does what you're feeling right now require an immediate action? If you're smelling smoke and getting agitated, please hang up and dial 911. Okay? If there's a little child in the street on a tricycle and a truck is coming, you do not do Dr. Ron's clarity and creativity tools. You go out and save the kid. Okay? Emotions are motivators, energy and motion. But what do we do? Our issue in this culture is what do we do with emotions when there's no physical action? At 3 o'clock in the morning, you're laying there worrying about your bills, anxious and upset. What are you supposed to do about it at 3 o'clock in the morning? You're telling your body to act and there's nothing for it to do. What do you think that does to your internal physiology? So it's what are you feeling now in this moment? Why now? Sometimes we work on past experiences that are PTSD, right? But what you felt when it happened doesn't matter. Why? When does your body live? I got a new test for everybody. Raise your right hand at 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon, right now. Okay, pat yourself on the head at 2 o'clock tomorrow, right now. See. Now your mind knows what I'm saying. See, we have 3 parts to our beingness, mind, body, spirit. The mind and spirit can go anywhere. Past, present, future. Hey, we make stuff up all the time, right? But your body is your interface with the physical reality right now. And your body is run by emotions. One of the biggest discoveries in medicine the last 20 years or so is that we used to split medicine into mental, emotional, and physical. We now know that's totally bogus. First off, it's hard to split any of it. But if you're going to split it, it's mental thinking on one side and emotional body on the other, emotional, physical. And we used to say there were two parts in the non-cognitive neurology. We can't differentiate them. If you have a feeling or emotion, something's going on in your body that matches it. If you have something going on in your body, you have a feeling or emotion that matches it. So as soon as you know what you're feeling now, you know what's going on in your body. Now, is that what you choose or not? Does it require an action or not? So what we're going to do for practice this week is we're just going to notice what we feel, and you can pick a feeling if you want to pick something. Okay, so for example, focus on anything at all that upsets you. Hopefully not the coach, but that's okay if it does. You don't have to pick something big, maybe a person or a situation that bugs you. Now, how does that feel? Not when it happened or when you last saw them. How do you feel right now? On a scale of 0 to 10, where 0 is perfectly fine and 10 is really agitated, what number comes to mind when you focus on that? Great. All right. Now take a deep breath, pause, and exhale slowly. Good. And again, refocus on whatever it is that bothers you. It can be the same or something else. Take a deep breath. As soon as you notice the feeling, pause, and then exhale slowly. And then pause again and refocus on the unpleasant or bothersome image or person. As soon as you notice the feeling of it, take a deep breath. Pause, and then exhale slowly. Okay. All right. So now go back and revisit that person or situation that upsets you. And on a scale of 0 to 10, how does it feel right now? Really? I'm seeing some fingers. Now, if Dr. Rockwood had the magic secret formula that you could take 2 of these pills and immediately reduce your internal stress level by 70%, would you be willing to give her a few bucks for that? You guys just did 3 breaths, and I'm seeing fingers telling me that your stress level dropped by 2/3 on that one issue. I'd say that's pretty potent. All right. Now, here's the thing. It will always work if you do it the way we practiced it, because that's how your physiology works. That's how the nervous system works. However, if you don't practice it for yourself over and over on all different types of feelings, good ones, bad ones, doesn't matter, as long as it's something you're feeling right now, it won't change the memorized patterning in your subconscious computer. And the only time you're going to get benefit from it is when you remember to do it. This coaching program is about all of us supporting each other to maintain the practice and participate with one another so that it all becomes automatic. And the next time you see that stressful person or you experience a similar situation, oh yeah, okay, I can deal with this. It really does work that way. Okay, so notice what you're feeling. Take a deep breath, pause, exhale slowly, pause, and start over. And it's a really good practice if you choose to take maybe 3 to 5 minutes when you first wake up in the morning and kind of review plans, how you feel and what your plans are for the day. And one by one, notice how you feel, take a breath, exhale, before you even get up in the morning. And then through the day, as often as you can, there's several ways to do it. I do it whenever I check the time. I do a couple of those breaths. You can get little colored stickers like they use at garage sales and stick them around your house and car. And every time you see one, do the breath. And then most importantly, for about 5 to 10 minutes before you fall asleep at night or just before you go to bed, just review your feelings. What am I feeling about the day? What am I feeling about myself? Take a deep breath, but one at a time. Remember, the body only lives in the now. Not to make, this isn't a make a list thing. That's a different type of exercise. This is about what am I feeling now? If it requires an action, do the action. If it doesn't, I mean, if you really need to go to the bathroom, please don't make a mess, right? But if you're thinking about something that's not physically real and you're getting feelings about it right now that you can't do anything about, take a breath, breathe, and exhale slowly, okay? And next week, we're going to add something else to that breath pattern that's going to make it measurably more potent than that. But play with this for a week, and then let me know next week how it worked for you, okay? All right, I'm going to turn it back to Michelle. Hi, Michelle, we're done.
There we go. Okay, Dr. Jahner, thank you so much. That was very, very, very good. So I want you all to understand that the Tuesday night call is all about us learning these tools. And then tomorrow night's call, which is at 8 p.m. Central Time, is a coaching call where we learn to coach the coaches. But this is the first step in that process. Going through this this coaching is what will help you. If you're interested in the leadership and becoming a coach, then that would be the call to be on tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Central. Everything is recorded. Everything will be podcasted, put on the Freedom Team coaching page. That is what this will be put on. The call tomorrow night will be put on the Freedom Team leaders page. And the reason we do that is because, again, we live in the now. People only want to hear what they want to hear now. We want to be very respectful of that because this is all about respect and integrity and love. And we just want to make sure that everybody is getting what they need. So thank you so much, Dr. Jahner, for tonight. Does anyone have anything they would like to add to this? We can unmute you. I think Lynn has control of our boxes right now. So if you'd like to say something, please raise your hand. And if not, we will say good night and have a joyful, peaceful evening. And thank you for being here. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.